And I do want to smell it to see what it smells like. Oh, I've got it on my moustache. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be testing out the most pigmented acrylic paints in the world! And I don't actually know whether they claim to be the most pigmented acrylic paints in the world, but they're supposed to be pretty damn good. But before we get into testing all these paints out, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Right, okay, so this is the paints here, and it's again by Culture Hustle and Stuart Semple, the artist. If you watched my video a couple of weeks ago, we tested out the blackest paint in the world, and it was from the same website, and that paint was actually really good. So hopefully these will be pretty decent too. I actually bought the pack of 9 different coloured paints, or a portion pack, and it was $79.99, which is pretty expensive, but hopefully it'll be worth the money. And you can actually buy them individually, so they're all differently priced. It can be about £7, £8, all the way up to £16. And if we're putting it into perspective, I usually pay around $5.60 for my System 3 acrylic paints. So they are quite a bit more expensive than my usual paint. So I'm hoping they're going to be good. The full set of portion colours contains Crush, which is a cadmium orange, Dive, which is the cobalt blue, Gossip, which is hot pink, Happy, which is cadmium yellow, Haze, which is medium violet, Monster, which is medium green, Raven, which is carbon black, Saint, which is titanium white, and Raygun, which is cadmium red. I always struggle saying cadmium. So I like the names, they're very cool and funky, and apparently they're all scented, so you've got orange scents and bubblegum scented, so it'll be nice to smell them. It says they're all very opaque and ultra light fast. I'm not sure what light fast means, but very opaque, it should mean that we're getting some decent coverage, very saturated pigments, very decent acrylic paint. After 15 years of making his own paints, Stuart Semple has been able to formulate and release a new breed of acrylic paint. For the first time, his full rainbow palette is available for all artists to share these incredible colours. It's really nice that an artist has kind of taken time to develop a decent quality paint for other artists to share. So hopefully it is good. If an artist's made it, I'm expecting some really good paints. They're all made in small batches in a paint factory attached to Stuart's studio, which is really cool. And they're all made in England as well. They're extremely special paints that only use the very best pure acrylic resins. They're mega saturated with the finest quality pigments in the world. Unlike other commercial paint brands mentioning no name, we want the names, we want the tea, we want the shade.
Shade.
Yeah, and all the paints have been designed to play perfectly with all of the kind of acrylic paints and any kind of mediums you want to add to a typical acrylic paint, so that's good to know. And it can be used on canvas, paper, wood, plaster, fabric, masonry, and almost any non-slick, non-oily surface. We'll have a little look at some of the pictures. So here's some of the swatches that they have, and it looks, to be fair, it looks like typical normal paint. It doesn't look like anything special from that image. So what we'll have to do is we'll open them up, see what they're like, and test them out for ourselves. So what I thought would be a fun experiment is to test out the Stuart Semple, the Culture Hustle paints against the System 3 paints, and I've tried to kind of colour match each of them the best I can. And we're going to do a side-by-side comparison with the paint alone, and then we're going to dilute it with water as well to do like a little wash. And hopefully that'll give us a good indication of whether these paints are actually any good. And I will say straight off the bat, what I've noticed is these paints are 150 mils, these paints are 100 mils, and you get more paint in this for less money than with this one. So these have to be really good, they really do. But I have to admit, I absolutely love the design of these bottles. They're super cute. It's nothing kind of too fancy, and they're like little portion bottles, and I just really, really like them. I think if you were kind of into Harry Potter and stuff like that, you'd love these paints. But anyway, less about the design, more about the paint. So I think we'll start off with the Monster Green portion first, and I'm just going to do a side-by-side comparison with System 3 Hooker's Green. And I do want to smell it to see what it smells like. Oh, I've got it on my moustache. Yeah, it smells nice. I'm not sure what it smells like, maybe it's of apple, but yeah, nice. So apparently to get this paint, you just put your paintbrush straight in and do it like that. So I'll do a swatch without water first. That's nice. Yeah, that's a very, very nice paint, I have to admit. I don't actually think the swatches on the website do the paint any justice. First impressions anyway, they're very nice. They're very smooth paints. And then I just want to dilute it down a bit, and I'll do a little wash as well. Right, okay, so far so good. It looks like a really nice paint. I'm quite happy with it. We'll move on to a different colour now. And at the end, I'll swatch all the System 3 ones on the other side. Right, next up we have the Haze Medium Violet, which is the purple paint. It smells a little bit like soap for some reason. This one also seems more full than the other one for some strange reason. The other one seemed a little bit more empty. Again, that seems like a really nice paint. Just dilute it down. Yeah, again, first impressions, really good, really nice. Right, next up we'll do the Gossip, which is hot pink. And I think this one's supposed to smell like bubblegum. It doesn't... It doesn't smell like bubblegum at all. It smells like alcohol, which is great too. Yeah, again, see, if you look into this one, I'm not sure whether you can see on the camera, but the purple one was really full to the top and this one's a little bit further down. So there is a bit of kind of, maybe it's a consistency issue there. The pink seems a little bit more watery than the other two. The purple one was very thick, but still really, really, really nice paint. Water that down a bit. See what it's like. Very nice. It's a nice colour, to be fair. Next we'll go for the Carbon Black, which is the Raven portion. And I'll leave a link down below. Oh, I can't get this off. I can't open it. Jeez. Give us 1 sec. I'm going to have to try and get this off. Right. That was really hard to get off, but I eventually got it off. I suppose that's one of the issues you might come into with these, with the kind of metal screw tops, is they could get stuck, and it was really stuck as well. Like, it was difficult to get off. And if you missed my video a couple of weeks ago when we tested out the blackest black paint there is by the same company, I'll leave a link down below where you can catch that, because that black paint was lovely. I've just flicked this all over as well and ruined my swatches. Yeah, again, really nice and smooth, very nice. Very opaque, very saturated. Let's dilute it a bit with some water, and we'll do a water swatch. Someone's literally just started using like a chainsaw outside. Can you hear it?
Keep it together, Ant. Keep it together. Don't freak out.
Right, it stopped. Okay, so there's the water swatch. And yeah, it's really nice. It definitely has a scent, but all I can smell is kind of acrylic paint on that one. Next up we have the Titanium White, which is the Saint portion. And I'm not going to be swatching this one because it's white on white and it'll just be absolutely pointless. I don't want to waste any paint. We'll move on to the Dive portion, which is a cobalt blue. Yeah, this has like a berry kind of smell to it. It's very nice. Strangely enough, this blue one seems a little bit more transparent than the other paints I've tried. It's not as full coverage as the previous ones. Still a nice colour, but it's definitely not as nice as the other ones. Right, now we have the Cadmium Yellow, which is the happy portion, and we've got some warnings on the bottles. So we've got some warnings on the yellow, the orange, and the red bottles, and it's because all of these paints actually contain a cadmium pigment, and if you didn't know, the cadmium pigment, if you're using a proper one, can actually cause cancer, and it's a really dangerous thing to have. So it says, be careful, this paint contains cadmium pigment, don't apply with a spray, don't eat, drink or smoke whilst using this, keep away from kids, if you swallow any, get medical help quickly. Long-term exposure can cause kidney damage and increase your risk to cancer. So yeah, because obviously the cadmium, you get a really nice colour with it. They've included it in here, but it is a very dangerous thing to add. I'm not 100% clued up on kind of cadmium, but I have heard it is dangerous. You'll see with these paints, this one's called Cadmium Scarlet, but there won't actually be any cadmium pigment in here. It's just something that is used to describe a colour, usually kind of warm colours, reds and oranges. So that's why the yellow, red and orange has this warning in. I'm not sure the concentration of that pigment, but obviously it's enough to put a warning on the bottle.
Chainsaw again, man.
Just wait until they stop. I've been up since 6:30 this morning on a Saturday. I got woken up at 6:30 this morning by banging outside and hammering and stuff. On a Saturday. Saturday. But yeah, I'm not kind of too concerned about it or anything because I've used resin over many, many years. So if anything was going to give us cancer and kill us off, it's the fumes from all of that. Either that or the 7 years of smoking. But yeah, so don't eat this paint or anything like that. It smells like banana. It's actually kind of a bit strange to have a paint that is dangerous if eaten, yet you've scented it with like banana flavours and whatnot. It doesn't seem to make much sense. It's a nice paint though. That's a nice yellow. Damn. Yellows are usually very transparent. That is super full coverage. That's a good paint. Yeah, I'm glad they put cancer-causing pigments in here because it's just so nice. A little story actually, one of my tutors at university, not when I did my master's degree, but when I did my undergraduate degree, she actually used a lot of lead in her work, and because she was touching lead with her hands and with no protection or anything, all her hair fell out. Thing is, artists don't kind of care about health and safety. We should, but we don't. Right, next up we have Cadmium Orange Crush Potion, which again has the cadmium pigment in it. That's really nice as well. Just dilute it with a bit of water. Very, very nice. And by the way, this isn't sponsored or anything. I bought all these paints myself, which almost bankrupt us. Right, next up we have the Cadmium Red, which is Ray Gun Potion. And again, it has the cadmium pigment inside. Oh, it's such a nice colour. It's really, really nice. You can tell that these are very smooth paints, very high quality paints. Right, so we have all these swatched, and the only one I thought wasn't particularly great out of the set of paints was the blue. The Cobalt Blue wasn't, it was still a nice paint, it just wasn't as good as the rest of them. But what we'll do is we'll wait till they're fully dry to kind of review the results. And now we'll just swatch all the System 3 ones side by side so we can get a really good kind of comparison on a cheaper paint to a more premium expensive paint. And hopefully we will see a difference. Right, first up, Hooker's Green. I can already see the difference. A huge difference. It's not as smooth. We'll give it a chance. We'll wait till it's fully dry before we judge. Right, next up, Velvet Purple. Then we have Processed Magenta. Now we have Processed Black. And we have Processed Cyan, Processed Yellow. That Processed Yellow actually isn't too bad. It's better than I remember it being. Cadmium Scarlet. And finally, Cadmium Red Deep Hue. Right, okay, so we'll wait for them to dry before we kind of do a proper close-up side-by-side comparison to see what the results are like. But one thing I will note is that the Stuart Semple ones, the little portions, they have a smoother consistency to them, whereas the System 3 seem to have a more gel-like consistency. It's obviously a pro to this one and a negative to this one because you don't get a like flat, nice kind of coverage to it. I will say I think you'd find it hard to create textures with these paints because they are quite liquidy, they're quite luxe and soft, whereas this one, they're more buildable, so you can make them more 3D, you can make them more kind of chunky and thick. But I'll set these aside, we'll wait probably about half an hour, and I'll meet you back here and we can kind of go over the results. Right, okay, the swatches are all dry and the results are in. And starting off with the plain paint swatches, you can see that the Stuart Semple ones are a lot more matte, a lot more opaque, they're a lot more full coverage, and they're a lot more pigmented, and they're kind of a lot more flat, whereas the System 3 ones, you can see the brush strokes, you can see more detail, they're a lot more transparent. They're a lot less full coverage and they're a lot less pigmented. And it's a similar situation when we've mixed the water in with the paint as well. Although I do find that the System 3 ones worked quite nice with the water. It gave very much a watercolour paint effect, and the Stuart Semple ones seem very flat when you've mixed the water in, but that might be just because they're just so matte. But starting off this video, I kind of wanted the expensive ones, these little portion ones, not to do as well as they did. But I have to give it to them, it's just such a better quality paint, it really is. It is a lot more on the pricier side, but I think you pay for exactly what you get, and you get a really high pigmented, high saturated, matte acrylic paint. But also, I'll never knock kind of the System 3 ones either, because I still think they're a pretty decent acrylic paint, and especially for the price point, they're not bad. They're really not bad. I'm not going to say these are awful or anything like that. It just happens to be that these are significantly better. And again, this video isn't sponsored or anything like that. I did spend the full $79.99 or however much it was on this set of paints, and I will use them in the future. I think they are really good paint. I don't think it would be my everyday paint because, quite frankly, it's really expensive. But if you really want to spoil yourself, you really want to treat yourself, or the quality is really important, then again, I would really recommend them. But let me know your thoughts on these paints down below in the comments, especially if you've ever tried them out before. I'd love to hear your opinion on them. But hopefully you did find this video helpful. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you on Friday for a brand new video. Bye!